Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Miami County Sheriff's Office. District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, employees of the Miami County District Attorney's Office. Paul C. Meltzer and James Riley Jr., Penfield Town Court. Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been in jail 6 times as an innocent man. 6 times a prosecutor has not talked in court. There is not one word. There is not one syllable. There is not one sentence, one sound from a prosecutor signed to my court appearances. Who is it? You know that answer. Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan, Elizabeth Buckley, Michelle Crowley, District Attorney's Office. You know that answer, Public Defender Julie Sianka. You know that answer, Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips. Send me the names of my prosecutors of silence. This is a taxpayer-financed public proceeding that's a courtroom that I'm forced into by freaks at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that do not understand the behavior that constitutes a crime. Who is it? This is the Freedom of Information Law. There are 17 in here. As I communicate with you freaks and sociopaths at the District Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office, Fisher Finger, Brooklyn, New York. Now, every single one of these I'm reading here on this this September 23rd, 2023. Received on September 21, 2023. I understand if I'm not watched by you freaks and sociopaths, the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office, Public Defender's Office. But it arrives over and over and over because I go to the post office and they give me this. And then what is returned to me, where I'm telling the District Attorney of Monroe County to disclose the names of my prosecutors, is this right here. And there's your name, Perry Douglas. If you open this, I'll never know. On this August 28th and looked at it, you'll see the foil. It says disclose the names of my prosecutors. Silence. You blew it off, didn't care. Perhaps you didn't even open the envelope. It doesn't matter to you. This is why you're corrupt. I contacted you on January 1 of this year, and I said, tell me the names of my prosecutors. I sent you a 61-page Freedom of Information Law, document after document after document. Well, I'm demanding information beyond just disclosure of the names of my prosecutors. It's like if there was sexual harassment at the District Attorney's Office, and you refused every single time. A 6-figure deputy district attorney, Perry Douglas, who refuses to disclose the names of my prosecutors in public proceeding. Just like you, Elizabeth Buckley. Director of the local courts will have that right in my communication to you, Elizabeth Buckley, because it should have arrived, because here is a UPS. Elizabeth Buckley, ship date 18 September. So Elizabeth Buckley, you should have this. I sent you, I think, 100 documents. If you open that from UPS, Elizabeth Buckley, and if I have it correct that you're the director of the local courts, or you're the assistant district attorney responsible for local courts, you will see in document after document after document, Elizabeth Buckley. Then I'm telling Sandra Doorley to do a simple thing. It's disclose the names of my prosecutors that this freak has forced upon me. And you, Elizabeth Buckley, when you looked at that and blew it off and didn't care, you're a freak too. I have to do this from memory. I think you're paid $131,000. Do I have that right? I have to look at the payroll. If I have that right, you're paid the same amount of money as Todd Baxter. Does a prosecutor talk in court, Elizabeth Buckley? Have you ever stood in stone cold silence in a courtroom and allowed a corrupt judge to sentence a defendant to jail? What would you think if that happened to a friend or family member of yours, Elizabeth Buckley? My 50th birthday, July 4, 2015, I have a speeding ticket in my place of employment in Albany, New York, a speeding ticket in my place of employment in Washington, D.C., both dismissed while into court. The reason why I cite this is not for narcissism. I want to talk about myself. How you live your life in these disgusting, sickening courts. Penfield Town Court, John P. Menzo Jr., Paul C. Menzo, James Riley Jr., State Supreme Court, House Renzi. It's totally irrelevant to these fanatical, corrupt judges. And you don't know that these judges are fanatical and corrupt at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office for the simple reason that you're fanatical and corrupt. Elizabeth Buckley, tell me the names of my prosecutors. And you have the same level of anger as I would if you were in jail 6 times and 6 times a prosecutor talked in court. What's justice about in the United States of America, Elizabeth Buckley? Do you know? I'm going to tell you what it's about. It's about money. Because if I had money, I would be able to keep these freaks and sociopaths, the sheriff's office and district attorney's office at bay. And I didn't. That's why I'm in jail 6 times. That's why I have to rely on the public defender's office, which I at first believed had honor and character integrity. And then when my mail started coming back to me, when the public defender Julie Siaga and assistant public defender Mark Phillips refused to tell me names of my prosecutors, I began to question the ability of the public defender's office to truly defend the defendant, because I have never been defended. Regina Harper was my assistant public defender, or Mark Phillips, or anybody else from the public defender's office. It's just there to fill out a piece of paper when I'm already in jail. There's no argument being made from the public defender's office that I'm an innocent man, ever. When I walked into the Penfield Public Library and I leave my records for the last time, this is why this public defender's office is corrupt. I leave 26 Sandra from Drive where I lived after 7 years. Pay attention, Elizabeth Buckley. You can tell me if this is constitutional, because I called a previous YouTube unconstitutional. I don't know this is the last time I'm leaving my residence. $75,000 Richard J. Siebert is staring at my front door, and $28,000 bald-headed widow Paul C. Metzer is waiting in Penfield Town Court when there's no one from the district attorney's office present. I walk into Penfield Public Library, I sit at the back, the last computer. Richard J. Siebert and his psychopath partner walk in. 5 minutes later, Richard J. Siebert runs at me, slams his arm to the side of my head. I fell down and my head hit the ceramic tile. They picked me up, front marched me out of the library, down the hall of Penfield Town Court. I go in there, and that's where I'm told, public defender Julie Sianka, by your employee, quote, I'm your public defender. Do you know what I'm talking about, public defender Julie Sianka, assistant public defender Mark Phillips? Why don't you call me and tell me I'm supposed to be into court? You know what this is, Elizabeth Buckley? This is the window dressing for this psychopath, bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzer, so she could say that I had counsel. I still believe that's unconstitutional. I'm meeting my public defender right before I'm about to be placed in front of Paul C. Metzer in this Soviet Union show trial so she could just declare me guilty, and then I'm driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. What do you think about what I just said, Elizabeth Buckley? It does not matter to you. I'm talking about fanaticism and corruption. At one point, this Paul C. Metzer had total control over my life. When I was languishing in that Livingston County Jail, same jail, Tops, Buffalo, mass murder, Peyton Gendron was in, I kept going to the kiosk saying, when am I going to be released? And that's what I'm told by Regina Harper, quote, the judge is holding you. So I'm violently attacked by Richard J. Siebert, placed in front of Paul C. Metzer where I meet my public defender. There's no one from the district attorney's office, an assistant district attorney, to make an argument I committed a crime. And this bald-headed $28,000 widow was holding me in jail. Elizabeth Buckley, is that constitutional? Perry Douglas Mark Monahan of the district attorney's office, is that constitutional? Public defender Julie Sianka, is that constitutional? I will not state something that's unconstitutional when I don't know. I truly do not know, but you know. And there should be case law about this too. So the Freedom of Information Law, it's very simple what you're going to comply with. Of the 17 I'm going to read, it's going to be 0. Because you're corrupt, because you're freaks. That's why. I have a prosecutor, and he's one of mine, Julie Hahn, before John P. Menzer Jr. I know what the 5'2" 3-piece suit boy looks like. I don't know his name. The last time I was in front of Alex Renzi, he's $208,000 hacker fossil. I had 2 females standing behind me. I don't know if they're court employees or assistant district attorneys. Who is it? Do you admire District Attorney Sandra Doorley? Elizabeth Buckley, she would have been at the District Attorney's office since 2007. Don't. Ever. Do you know why? Because she's corrupt. That's why. Conviction Integrity Unit. Do you know what I'm talking about? The District Attorney of Monroe County, Sandra Doorley, has to form a separate bureaucracy within the District Attorney's office. And the answer is because innocent citizens are in jail and prosecutors don't talk to court. I don't care about any other reasons. That's the reason. So, Elizabeth Buckley, I don't know you. And I try not to impeach the character of someone I don't know. But Elizabeth Buckley, if you don't know it, you work for a criminal organization. The District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley in Monroe County is a criminal organization. So, I know you disagree with that. All right, here's her name, Sandra Doorley. Telling her to disclose the names of our prosecutors. So I have a September 19th right there. There's her name, Sandra Doorley. Look at it, blow it off. If her daughter Erin was in jail 6 times and 6 times prosecutor talk court, I guarantee District Attorney of Monroe County would be in a rage about that. The lives of others don't matter. So, every single one of these foils I'm going to read on this September 23rd, which is 17. I've been on here as many as 70. I read on this September 21. Every single one of these files I'm going to read, I read on this August 23rd. Every single one of these I'm going to read, I've been reading for 18 months. I'll change the numbers sometimes depending on my time. But I want to get this said right now because this is fanaticism. January 16, 2023. Todd Baxter, Chef 137 Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, New York, 14604. This photograph's why a fanatic. This photograph's why an extremist. This photograph's why you're a liar. This photograph's why the name is 67,000 disgusting hack Shannon. This photograph's why people hate the police. Christopher Chichester, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. Copy 2, Trini Ross, United States Attorney. Paul C. Much, James June, Penn, Court, Mark Phillips, Regina Harper, Perry Douglas, Michael Brown. Get mad at them. This is because just freak Shannon Myers right there. This is 2025 Penfield Road. That's called a surveillance device, and I've been on it. And the freaks and sociopaths is the sheriff's office calling Lindsay Barron, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health, when I first started to use this phrase because they don't know what's going on at my residence. That camera's on this building right here. This is 2025 Penfield Road. This is Consumer Insights, where Elliot Roth's president. Elliot, open your mouth when I send it to you. This is private technology you're using on me. Would you buy it and fix it for me? Sheriff Todd Baxter, what's the answer? Tell your boss, Todd Thurston, Michael Rather, Captain Miller, $101,000 William Tadeo, that I'm demanding this. I've been demanding this for 18 months. It's not the first time I'm saying this on YouTube. Walked through this parking lot for the 4,000th time. I just wrote the criminal complaint about Nayraj Shah and Layla Kumar Shah at 2033 Penfield Road. Nayraj Shah's up here in his car, such to scream at me. I had this confrontation with him. There are guys I have known on Long Island in New York City would have had him on the ground immediately and attacked him. I said, what's the problem? People walk through this parking lot all day long. Shah goes to the sheriff's office. The $67,000 freak Shannon Myers, now paid $83,000, calls me. This is how she sets me up. So you have to work with Elizabeth Buckley. Shannon Meyer, her desperation to concoct the crime for me, tells Steve Desmond and Brock Tree and Long Care, ride your tractor by his residence to get him to come outside. The problem with that is for me to come outside, stand right here and say nobody owns the land, walk back in my residence. That's not a crime. This is why people hate the police. Elizabeth Buckley, Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, Julie Siaka, Mark Phillips. All I did is tell a man, Steve Desmond, on a tractor, nobody owns the land, and walk back in my residence. 6 of them are there. Because Shannon Meyer, this freak, is telling the other Monroe County Sheriff Office employees to come to my residence. So I come out here and say, nobody owns the land, and walk back my residence. I sit down, half hour later. Meyer runs into my backyard, crash lands on her face. There's this freak laying in my backyard there, the insane pounding on my front door. I hear the lie. We just want to talk to you outside. I walk out into my front lawn. They surround me, the handcuffs go on. That's not a crime. I'm charged with criminal contempt second. I'm taken downtown, handcuffed inside a holding cell. I urinated on myself. And then the Monroe County Sheriff Office employee came to me with this gruesome smile on his face. He said, I want to show you something. And on his phone, from this camera, also called a surveillance device, is me outside. And that's how I know my right arm is moving. What's not to understand, freaks and sociopaths? You'll still call these mental health bureaucrats upon me. I've seen the images. Todd Baxter's received from me over and over and over the foil I'm going to read again. And that's why I showed this first. So, tell your employees you've been eating Mussolini skinhead Todd Baxter to stay away from Wegmans. I'm going to the Gold Gym in Fairport. Hit his freak. They're always alongside that Wegmans in Penfield. I don't know anymore because I don't live there. This freak comes driving right at me when I'm going to the gym. I have my phone, took it out, took his picture. Coming to my residence, and then my dog, the insanity of the cops because of Layla Kumar and Nayraj Shah, 2033 Penfield Road. 4,000 times I walk my little guy and land behind my residence. One phone call from Layla Kumar and Nayraj Shah wrote a criminal complaint about that's in your office. You're at my residence. How many times I've used a foil? It's over and over and over. This is a loft I lived in next to the transit center at Buckingham Properties. I would get the Freedom of Information law, and then I'd put it on this carpet here in front of me. I think there were 1,500 documents there. They're stacked up. I'm going to take photos of that too. What's not to understand? You know how I'm charged with harassment per second, Elizabeth Buckley? I've never harassed anybody in my life. I go to a gym called PW Fitness. I sit down on the bench press. Up walks to me Jermaine L. Beman. He goes like this. I say, I'll be 30 seconds. Beman stands over and punches down my head, snaps back violently. Who did I just harass, Elizabeth Buckley? The answer is no one. I have to deal with mentally how I did not fight back. because Jermaine Bam is bigger than me. And I've never been violent in my life. I should have started a fight with him right there. I've seen fights like this when I was in the Army, in the 101st Airborne Division, Fort Campbell. And I didn't understand violence when I was in the Army either. So here my head snaps back, and I should have attacked Jermaine Bam, because then this is not going to be any reality. He already knows me because criminal times second, where that's not a crime. The opportunity to crack the crime from me. Reality arrives, looks right at me, he asks me nothing. What happened, Chris? What are you doing here? I know you. We go out to the vehicle. Andrew Reality tells me to wait in the backseat of his vehicle. So Elizabeth Buckley, from the time I was on the bench press at this defunct gym called PW Fitness in Pemberton, New York, until I'm in the backseat of Andrew Reality's Montgomery County Sheriff's Office vehicle, who did I harass? The answer is no one. This is why people hate the police. Reality tells Bemin what to say to me. He marches Bemin around the side of the vehicle, and Jermaine L. Bemin says to me, I want to press charges against you. And with those 7 words, Elizabeth Buckley, at $131,000, I'm charged with harassment second. So I have to appear before John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Penfield Court for criminal attempt second, harassment second, these 2 ludicrous pieces of fiction from the mind of Andrew Yao and the mind of Shannon Meyer. I stand in front of John P. Lomenzo Jr., where I don't have a public defender this day. And is that constitutional? I don't know. I look to my left, there's the prosecutor. Is this Julie Hahn or is it not Julie Hahn? You know who knows the answer to that? You do, and so does Sandra Doorley. Now, one word. You know why there's not one word, Elizabeth Buckley, and Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley? Because it's impossible to make an argument in open court that I committed harassment second, criminal attempt second. That's why. Lomenzo just summarily declares me guilty. I take a step back. There's Reality waiting for me. I'm pushed down to the ground. I'm on my knees in Penfield Court, and I did something I have not done for 40 years. Since I was on a playground at Wing Street Elementary School in Long Island, I screamed. I screamed, you're violating my rights. And I'm driven to Monroe County Jail. I've been an innocent man my whole life, Elizabeth Buckley. So, I leave my residence to go to Wegmans 2 years ago. $85,000 down better debt on $73,000 Michael Lynn walked onto the private property of my 7-year-old neighbor and hid. And is that constitutional? Elizabeth Buckley, Michelle Crowley, Mark Monahan, Perry Douglas. Can the cops walk onto the private property anywhere in the United States of America and hide? When I leave my residence, I walk alongside my residence like this. These 2 freaks, $85,000 down better debt on $73,000 Michael Lynn, come running at me. When I turn around, I never stop running. I've never been violent in my life. As I pass my bike, I grab the hammer alongside my bike that I used to fix the front tire. I place my foot on the first of 3 steps to run through the sliding glass door. $73,000 cop freak Michael Lynn grabs my arm, the hammer goes up like this. I run through the sliding glass door. I never stop running. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Mr. Buckley? This is on the body camera footage sent to me by Regina Harper, the public defender's office. I never stopped running. $73,000 cop freak Michael Houlihan, $85,000 cop freak Don Better. They don't have to come up with a lie. They go back to the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office. The lie is from Michael Houlihan that I swung a hammer at him. It is impossible, Sheriff Todd Baxter, for me to swing a hammer at your lying cop freak perjurer Michael Houlihan when I ran away the whole time. Michelle Crowley, you convened the grand jury that I don't know was convened. You have these 18 to 24 anonymous idiots. When Michael Houlihan states in that grand jury, I swung a hammer at him, Michael Houlihan perjures himself. I've been saying this over and over and over about him, including on documentation that has arrived at the district attorney's office, where it says right here, you can go to YouTube and type perjurer 73312 Michael C. Houlihan, Monroe County Sheriff's Office. You'll see it. He's involved in the death of a human being that I have yet to talk about because I'm still researching it. This is a nightmare wrecking ball cop. And since Todd Baxter's a nightmare wrecking ball cop, he's perfectly comfortable about a freak like Michael Houlihan. So, grand jury's convened. Tell me the facts and circumstances of this grand jury. Elizabeth Buckley, Michelle Crowley, and tell your crippled boss, Sandra Doorley, to tell me the facts and circumstances. For your information about the grand jury can be by District Attorney Sandra Doorley, 2 Todd, Christopher Chichester, as 1 day monthly the grand jury is convened. 2, the assigned District Attorney's Office employee to address the grand jury. 3, the witnesses that testified to the grand jury. 4, the vote of the grand jurors. 5, a transcript of the grand jury proceeding. There better be a transcript to this freak show. Number 3, the witnesses testified to the grand jury. It's Michael Houlihan, a perjurer. Who else? Richard J. Seaman walked into Penfield Public Library and violently attacked me. I had $61.39 in my pocket. Send that money back to me, employees at the sheriff's office. Freedom of Information Law on this September 23rd. The issuance of a new check to Christopher Chichester, address below for an expired check in the amount of $61.39 from the County Line Row. Office of the Sheriff in May fund account, because that's the dollar amount in the pocket of Chichester, and he's violently attacked the Pembroke Public Library by 75-904 Richard J. Seaton, the Sheriff's Office. I wrote a criminal complaint about him. You're concocting crimes for me. I'm in jail for telling a man in his tractor nobody owns the land next to my rents. When nobody owns the land next to my rents. He violently attacks me by slamming his arm into my head. I fall backwards and my head hits ceramic tile. He's not going to be arrested, fired, prosecuted. Nothing's going to happen to this freak, Richard J. Seaton. There were 3 names at least. From the district attorney's office, prosecuting me in total silence. And who is it? You should know who it is. I'm looking for the payroll for the district attorney's office because I am prepared with the payroll because here it is right here. So the freaking sociopath, I have multiple freaks and sociopaths right here because this is the payroll for the district attorney's office. I just need to look for you, Elizabeth Buck, and I want to make sure that I have your salary correct here. Because there's Perry Douglas 144, Master Shorts 135, Mark Bonham 141, Nancy Gilligan 118, Michelle Crowley 131, Sarah Van Schreider 131, Elizabeth Buckley 131, and I am correct about that. Make $1,000 less than Todd Baxter. Where'd you go to law school, Elizabeth Buckley? I don't know, because I don't know anything about you. That's the way it should be. When you were in law school, did you learn that prosecutors talk to court for a defendant to be delivered to jail? You should have learned that. So, freaks are right here. That's the payroll for the district attorney's office. Amanda Bowling 124, Eleanor Biggers 118, Scott Miles 120, Charles Dominic 107, Patrick Gallagher 124, Rachel Clark 124, Bianca D'Angelo 114, Jennifer Kennedy 111. How do you get everybody into that little shack? Do you have satellite offices? Because I've ridden my bike by your shack. I don't know. You do. Is everybody at the district attorney's office in that little building? To me, that's an impossibility. So, Freedom of Information Law. Documentation of the case of Christopher Johnson in Pembroke Town Court for John P. Menzel Jr. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. The freaking sociopath is right here because this is the payroll for the district attorney's office. Is that Julie Hahn or is that not Julie Hahn? Who's on Monroe County Court? She's not the victor with 17% of the vote. Elizabeth Buckley, Michelle Crowley, Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan. Did you call her and congratulate her when she's not the victor? Do you think judges should be elected? Alex Renzi, $208,000 hack and fossil, 25% of the vote. A joke, and he's been in there since 2009. So tell me who it is. Who is that prosecutor? Because it's the taxpayer-financed public facility, and this freak you didn't talk delivered me to Monroe County Jail. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Charges in Pembroke Town Court before Paul C. Metzel. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. This is the payroll for the district attorney's office. The freaking sociopath is right here. This boy in his 3-piece suit didn't talk because it's impossible for him to ever make an argument I committed a crime. Elizabeth Buckley, Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley. What's this boy's name in his 3-piece suit? So, Freedom of Information Law on this September 23rd. Documentation for the case for Christopher Charges, New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. If I have a prosecutor, the freaking sociopath is right here. Who is it? He told me I was finished and done, which is not true. You know how easy it is to be in jail? The state legislature, Speaker Carl Eastie and Senator Majority Leader Andrews to because it change this law and it's signed by Governor Kathy Hochul. What has happened to me means that any one judge from Montauk and easternmost part of Long Island, where I have been since I'm a fisherman, to Buffalo, where I have been to Bills games, one judge anywhere can sentence the defendant to jail without a prosecutor making an argument. Because that's happened to me. That can happen to me in Monroe County. That can happen in any of New York's 62 counties, and that's totally irrelevant, you freaks and sociopaths. So, do I not have a prosecutor before Alex Renzi? And it's just him because he knows me? Because Sandra Doorley perhaps contacted him and decided to force me in. Damn, who's the supervising judge? Who is it? You can tell me I have no prosecutor, and you're not going to say anything. It's going to be total silence because you're corrupt. That's why. So, John P. Menzel Jr. released Daniel Lobs III. You should know who he is because he says it's effective documents. This gets Lindsey Barron in the Monroe County Office of Mental Health to my residence. I go over to Pembroke Town Court, I drop off this foil here that I'm about to read. Saying, show me the effective documents. I want to examine them. And he calls this mental health bureaucrat because this psychopath wants to, one, humiliate me, and two, refuse to comply with the law, just like you do at the sheriff's office. Freedom of information law, dequote defective documents, and call for the case of Dan Blount's third for John P. Menzel Jr. in Penfield Court. When I contact the Office of Court Administration in Albany, United States Senate Judiciary Committee, United States House of Representatives Judiciary Committee, I'll tell them you're refusing at Penfield Court and District Attorney's Office. So is this sexual harassment at the sheriff's office and District Attorney's office? Do you know what sexual harassment is, Elizabeth Buckley? If you were asked what's sexual harassment, I'm going to tell you what the answer is. It's a man asking a woman out on what's commonly called a date over and over and over. She's under siege. No, it's a man touching a woman at the office. She says, keep your hands to yourself, don't touch me. It's lewd, vile, vulgar language, often laden in misogyny, that makes it impossible to focus and concentrate in the office. Any number of ways this dehumanizing behavior destroys soul. Do you have behavior that destroys soul, Elizabeth Buckley, at the District Attorney's office? So, Kathleen Miller, if you were asked, is this sexual harassment at the sheriff's office? And have you seen it and can you define it? What's your answer, $34,000 Kathleen Miller? Because they're animals. And animals will engage in sexual harassment. Freedom of information. The cost taxpayers, Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, expended taxpayer dollars on employment-related discrimination lawsuits, failed to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1994. So here's the payroll for the sheriff's office. On this payroll here, you know who you should ask? Todd Baxter or Michael Rather? Kathleen Miller winning today on $0 Michael Rather. You should ask Tracy Cavalcioli at 75-904-54. Tracy Cavalcioli can tell you the answer. If Todd Baxter cared about his employees and how his employees are being treated, his female employees, because it's overwhelmingly 90% of the time men engage in this repulsive behavior, he would call her into her office, or he would call Cheryl A. Wilcox at $45,000. Cheryl A. Wilcox is paid $45,000, and Tracy Cavalcioli is paid $75,000, and that $30,000 difference is important because an employee paid more money has more power within the structure of an office and can fend off freaks engaged in sexual harassment. So what's the answer? And you refuse to answer, and then I contact the EEOC in Washington, D.C. and others that have regulatory power and control over Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra, telling me you're refusing to answer. I have not written this yet for you, Julie Sianka, and you, Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips at the Public Defender's Office, but I will need them to do the same thing that these freaks and sociopaths, the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office are doing, which is refuse to answer. So, Freedom of Information Law on this September 23rd, 2023. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra expended taxpayer dollars on employment-related discrimination lawsuits failed to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So, this is the second page of the payroll of the District Attorney's Office. Here's the first page. 47 South Fitzhugh. Is everybody in here? How is that possible? Here's the second page of the payroll. Is everybody at 47 South Fitzhugh? That's impossible. Where are they? This is where she refuses to answer District Attorney Sandra Doorley because she's corrupt. So regarding that FOIL, here is District Attorney's Office. Lisa Gray, who is the counsel, I believe, to the District Attorney, $117,000 up here. And then all the way down here at the bottom is, I'm looking for Grace Lupiani, $48,000. Lisa Gray at $117,000 empowered to fend off sexual harassment at the District Attorney's Office because she is paid $69,000 more than Grace Lupiani. So Lisa Gray, what's the answer? I'm going to send this to you directly. I'm going to ask you directly in writing. Understand? If not, I'll watch it again. I'll repeat myself. But what's going on at the District Attorney's Office? Is the District Attorney of Monroe County in compliance with the most important law of the 20th century? That's the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You know who would know that answer is Susan Schultz with $50,000. Or Jessica Schlegel at $87,000, or Gina Clark at $87,000, or Constance Patterson at $87,000, or Kimberly Vasey at $57,000. Constance Patterson at $87,000 more empowered at the District Attorney's Office to fend off sexual harassment than Kimberly Vasey at $57,000 because it's a $30,000 difference. So, is one of these employees right here my prosecutor? Before Paul C. Metzler, John P. Menzel Jr., and Alex Renzi, the freaks and sociopaths just on this page? I don't know. You know. So, on this September 23rd, overtime, time and a half. You, Michael Radler, if you were paid overtime or time and a half, you would go from $0 to $0 because you make no money. You paid private money from Todd Baxter's campaign accounts when he was elected in 2017 and reelected in 2021. You paid private money to sit at a public desk, Michael Radman. What's the answer? So, overtime, time and a half. Can you, William Tadeo, at $101,000, be paid more money at $132,000 than Todd Baxter with overtime, time and a half? Can you double your salary to $200,000, William Tadeo? He's refusing to answer. When I contact Patrol Thomas Piampoli, I'll send him the transcript to this and his fall and say this Benito Mussolini skinhead, corrupt stooge and hack, Todd Baxter doesn't know if he's a Democrat or Republican, is refusing to answer because he's corrupt. Freedom of information on total cost of overtime, time and a half, albeit on base salaries calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Todd Baxter, same thing for the District Attorney's Office. You know the answer to this. Elizabeth Buckley and Perry Ducks and Mark Monahan and Michelle Crowley refused to answer. So did Sandra Doorley, and that's why she's corrupt. She's fleecing taxpayers every day, and it does not matter to you at the District Attorney's Office because you behave just like the mafia did in New York City in the 70s and 80s. Freedom of information, total cost of overtime, time and a half, all paid beyond base salaries calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley. So on payroll for the District Attorney's Office, here is Scott Green at $121,988. Can Scott Green, $121,988, be paid more money than Sandra Doorley, $210,000 with overtime, time and a half? I don't know. You know. So we have Burak Surbatici, $82,403. Can he or she be paid more than Sandra Doorley at $82,000? Can this employee, Burak Surbatici, double his salary or her salary from $82,000 to $164,000? I don't know. You know. So, Sheriff Todd Baxter delivered my healthcare records to Paul C. Metz on Penfield Court. This is easy to understand as far as it being a federal crime. My former employers, United States Senate, United States House of Representatives, passed the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996 to properly protect healthcare records. My healthcare records are not properly protected. You $28,000 psychopath, bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzer, when they're right in your hands because Todd Baxter gave them to you. Freedom of Information Law, copy of the private healthcare records delivered to $28,000 Penfield Court Judge Paul C. Metzer by Sheriff Todd Baxter in violation of Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. So, I already showed you the camera called a surveillance device, so I'm going to show it to you again. And I hate to use that phrase, and I have to use it because see, but here it is right here. That's it. This is private technology at this business called Consumer Insights 2025 Penfield Road. Ellie lost the president. Buy it, fix it for me, and refuse to answer because you're corrupt. Freedom of Information Law, cost of surveillance device purchased from taxpayer dollars and fixed to a building in 2025 Penfield Road to monitor Christopher Chichester walks through the parking lot next to the building, and that's the lunatic fringe. The photography session, a lunatic fringe again. Your entire existence is lunatic fringe. Having a good time. It's Animal House. You should have John Belushi as Bluto there at the sheriff's office. So, Freedom of Information Law, the cost for a photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, voter of 10 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees underwater in the pool. And here is Animal House. Here, I'm looking for Otter and Boone in this photograph right here. Here it is right here. Animal House, the Monroe County Sheriff Office, underwater in a pool. Ridiculous, ludicrous. Todd Baxter, Sheriff of Monroe County, who tells me it's a private event. I ask him, I demand off him if it's taxpayer dollars. He says it's a private event. He just refuses to be accountable for anything. So, Ryan Fisher in Atlanta, Georgia. What's he doing in Atlanta, Georgia? Freedom of Information on the cost for a hotel and plane ticket from Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher attended the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019. Ridiculous, ludicrous. You go in Saratoga, Todd Baxter. You go into the House Rules, Michael Fowler and Corey Brown go in Saratoga. You, Todd Baxter, go into the House Rules Committee. Do you understand, Todd Baxter? The House Rules Committee, which was once chaired by Gerald Solomon of Saratoga County, New York, has nothing to do with law enforcement. It's an internal committee that sets the rules for when legislation is introduced on the floor of the House of Representatives. Why I've been over and over and over, because I was an employee of the House. Freedom of Information Law, the names and salaries of every public employee in New York State Supreme Court on the supervising Judge Alice Renzi, 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York. I'm trying to find out if he has clerks. I would walk by the Supreme Court when I would go to Russell Senate Office Building. I think about the majesty of the building, and I think about the clerks. And I had a friend of mine, his name is Greg Walker, an attorney I work with, and I remember him telling me exact words would be the clerks run the whole place. I'm trying to find out if he has clerks that run him, because he doesn't know anything about me. which I said to him in the New York State Supreme Court. I said, you have no idea what's happened to me. You have no idea about the facts, circumstances of anything. And he needed to correct me. Yes, I do defend the charges. There's nothing like that from him. He just forced me in front of him so he could just summarily declare me guilty and send me to jail. So we got the old lady, Penfield Court, $28,000 bald-headed widow Paul C. Metzer, $34,000 hack, James Maloney Jr. released Jermaine Benman. Who am I talking about, James Maloney Jr.? And then the old lady. Does the old lady, is she paid more money than you, Paul C. Metzer, James Maloney Jr. or not? Is Penfield Town Court, Mully, Metzler, the old lady? This is what you have to go in front of with these two at the district attorney's office. Where you base yourself trying to convince these two freaks and hacks that you're on the side of justice. Neither one of you are. For your information, the names and salaries of every public employee, Penfield Town Court, 1985 Bad Road, Penfield, New York, 14526. Does the old lady at the window receive more pay in tax dollars than $28,000 Paul C. Metzer and $34,000 James P. Mully Jr.? Contract for weapons. I believe this can remove Todd Baxter from office. Todd Baxter, weapons are not sent to you for free. Freedom of information. The contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Mount Vernon Sheriff Office employees to include 1, the name of the firearms contract, 2, the number of firearms purchased, 3, total amount of tax dollars spent to purchase firearms. Todd Baxter is at such an apex of corruption. I believe that if the controller Thomas B. DiNapoli demanded of him to account for his contract for weapons, he would refuse. I believe anybody that asked him about this, he would refuse. I just did. So, that's it. Freedom of Information Law, only 17, has been communicated to you at the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office, while I'm demanding this information from you, and you will comply with 0 because you're freaks, because you're corrupt, because there's moral turpitude from you. It just does not matter. And I'm demanding this information from you, and you're forcing me into court and concocting crimes for me. Every single one's a fiction and a lie. So on this September 19th here, I sent this to you. You should have had this at the district attorney's office, registered mail return receipt, attached PDFs, Freedom of Information Law document dated September 19, 2023, that compels you to disclose the names of my prosecutor sons. I prosecute sons with John P. Lenz of Junior Penfield Town Court, Paul C. Metz of Penfield Town Court, Alex Renzi, United States Supreme Court. Mail the names of my prosecutor sons to my address listed below. I've been in jail 6 times prosecuted, not talked to court. So that file that I just read is also here on this September 19th right there in red. See, all 3 here. Anthony Ospano, this 80-year-old man who I wrote the criminal complaint about, locked me out of my residence, and I don't know anything. My dress screens are gone. All my books are gone. My 1,000+ books are gone. Every single thing I own is gone from this man. I don't have any clothes because of you, Todd Baxter, you, Sandra, Doorley, you, Paul C. Metzer, and you, Alex Renzi. I don't have any clothes. He just locked the doors and locked me out, and that's a crime. The criminal complaint for Anthony Ospano arrived in July. He just blew it off. It did not matter to Todd Baxter. He will concoct crimes from these bald-headed, Benito Mussolini, skinhead psychopath, and he will ignore real crimes, especially by Monroe County Sheriff Office employees like Richard J. Siegman violently attacking me. So at the UPS, I have this message here. This is corruption from Julie Siaka, the public defender, assistant public defender Mark Phillips. When 361, that's my box number, picks up, please give him all returned items in bin. That's not my handwriting. I'm demanding of the public defender information she has with disclosure names on prosecutors, and she's refusing every time, just like Mark Phillips. Mark, what is wrong with you? For $87,000, an $87,000 public employee who has information I'm demanding, Mark Phillips is refusing every single time. So, you know what justice is about in the United States of America? It's about money. If I had money, I'd be able to keep you freaks and sociopaths away from me because I have been an innocent man my whole life. Every now and again, you get to be a part of justice being done, and that's quite a thrill when it happens. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I've been an innocent man my whole life.